Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. The Grad Student Council is really excited to promote and inform you about funding for your graduate education here at CGU. My name is Arline Votruba. I am the current president of Graduate Student Council, and it is my joy and pleasure to introduce you all to Courtney Lamb, who will be guiding us through the CGU funding today. Courtney Lamb has served on the Graduate Student Council for the last 2 years as the representative for the School of Arts and Humanities. And let's all congratulate Courtney for her upcoming graduation from the Master's in History with a focus in museum studies. So with that being said, I will turn the microphone over, and I encourage folks to put any questions that come up along the way in the chat. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. We'll do our best at the end of the session to answer all of your questions. And if we aren't able to get to them during our Q&A session, we can always follow up after our session today. And one last comment, I am going to put the link to the roadmap for funding at CGU in the chat so that you have access to pull this up on your computer yourselves. But with all that being said, thank you for being here. Here's Courtney Lamb.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to be doing this because I think this is a really important topic. And I think the GSC is the perfect outlet for talking about it and establishing a two-way dialogue with the students who, many of whom I know from talking personally to them, are very concerned about funding. And there are a lot of resources out there that the school already has, but I don't know how aware people are of them, or that they're aware that other people are facing the same mountain that they want to climb, and that there are ways to address it in a guided way that'll help you realize you're not alone, that your concerns are extremely valid, and that there are ways to step through it and start addressing these questions that you might have about how to fund something that is very important and very expensive, which is a graduate education, particularly in terms of CGU. So what I did was put together this, what we're calling this roadmap document that includes the information that we're going to step through in this webinar. And what this does is consolidate what is a wealth of information that is already out there on the CGU website, but that might be, you know, if you're looking at these things individually, when I was putting together this document, it's a lot of clicking, it's a lot of searching, it can be a little confusing to figure out how to find the individual things. So I thought it would be really valuable to have them all in one place where you can just step through this and as you're doing your research. So what we're going to do is, it turns out that Zoom now allows you not just to share one individual screen, but two side by side. So I'm going to share a screen, share my screen, and put up that roadmap document that I'm talking about, and next to it I'm going to have my browser, so that instead of just describing these links or sort of randomly talking about them, we'll be able to see these links. I know it's not the most fun thing to watch somebody clicking on links, but it will be nice to get a visual picture of what we're talking about, I think. And I just wanted to start with some background as to why I got really interested in this idea of doing this webinar. A couple of years ago, a professor, you know, was sitting around talking to a bunch of students, and she'd gotten a PhD, and she said she was a first-gen college student, much less graduate student, doctoral student, and that she really needed to find her own sources of funding from top to bottom. And that the way that she addressed that, when she had no idea how to go about this, you know, when she was starting these programs, was to address it as if it were a job. And when she said that, something clicked in my mind that made a lot of sense. It said, yeah, it is like a part-time job that you're assigning for yourself to look up all this information, consolidate it, fill out these applications. It is very similar to applying to a job. So when she said that, I thought, wow, that's a really great way to look at it. And instead of being sort of random about it or hoping you come across a listing, what is a way to approach it as if it is a job that you have given yourself? And a second key thing was, a couple of years ago, the dean of the arts and sciences school, I was talking to her about the funding, and realized through her, because I brought it up, oh yeah, well, we've just started this office and hired some student workers, and we're putting together a database of funding and fellowship and grant opportunities, which was amazing to hear. What a great initiative, and I wanted to hear more about it. And I thought this is the sort of thing that should be getting out to the students, and they're realizing that this is happening, but also that it's the sort of thing that if you're aware of it, you're advocating for it, if you're using it and you're giving feedback on it, it only continues to grow and become more useful. So it's about this two-way dialogue, which I'm going to be stressing as we go through this document. So enough talking, let's try some screen sharing. Multiple windows. There we go. So you see that we have this blue roadmap document that we're going to go through. And then so that you know what I'm talking about on this other side, this is my browser and the links that we're going to be talking about. So I realized in working through all this stuff, there are really like four main aspects to it. What do? You research, you explore what is even out there through the CGU resources, and this is not the first time I'm going to say this, but all of these resources are things that you are paying for with your tuition dollars. So making the most of them, getting back what you're putting out is exactly what you should be doing, and what you have earned, or what you part of what you're paying for as you go through this, getting your education here. So all of these things are here for you to take advantage of. So do the research, get feedback and advice, and this is part of what you are already paying for with your tuition, is scheduling consultations in these various offices that are absolutely, that's what they're there for, and that's what they want to do to help you through these processes. And then the next thing that is so important is just to talk about it, broadcast your funding needs, your desires, what you're looking for to everybody you know, like to where it's maybe a little boring, but then people know, oh, you're the one who wants that internship, or you're the one who wants those fellowships. You want to hear about them always when they're coming out. You're interested and you're willing to do the time for it. Let people know that, and we'll talk about that later in the webinar. But then the last thing, of course, is you got to set that time aside to apply and work through this information and figure out how to do the applying. And that goes back to those consultations of people helping you work through those applications. So let's get to this first big category of where do you look for funding and what is it, is the awards, grants, and fellowships. And at the school, there are two major ways to find yourself some awards, grants, and fellowships, and to apply for them. The first major way is here through the Office of Research Sponsored Programs and Grants, which is a real mouthful, but this is a very, like maybe the key office here, one of the key offices for what we're talking about. The second one will be on the next page. That has to do with a competition called the Big Pitch, and we will get to that. So the first thing, and this is a very important way to get to it, here's where I moved to the browser. And we have these more direct links, but I also wanted you to show like how many links it kind of takes, like where's all this stuff even live. Your like main portal to everything as a student is through my CGU, that website, as you see on my browser, my.cgu.edu. And if you go down here, this resources for students. This is where all the links are. I mean, this is like the main, how do I even find out what's at this school for me to take advantage of? Again, you're paying for all of this stuff. So this is your stuff. And if we look here, down on the left-hand side, we go down to academic resources. The two offices that we're going to be talking about in terms of awards, grants, and fellowships are here under academic resources. And these are alphabetical. It took me forever to realize, oh yeah, they're alphabetical. The Center for Writing and Rhetoric is one of them. We'll get to that second. And here's the one we're talking about, Office of Research, Sponsored Programs, and Grants, okay? So you click on that, and here's this thing, and look under here, this tab, Student Resources. These are the four things that are listed on the roadmap document. Student Grant and Award Initiative, Dissertation Fellowships, the Fulbright Program, and the Crossing Boundaries Research Award. So here is a one-stop shop to all of these kinds of places, like who is offering money that I can apply for. So we're going to start with the Student Grant and Award Initiative. And this is also where you go to sign up for the email list, which is very valuable. It gives you sort of targeted information not just about what's being offered, but that there are webinars or there are things that you can get, that you can access as support. So on this page, this is a compilation. This is what I was talking about with this database that started to be put together. This is the compilation of grant opportunities. It describes them and it steps you through, as you see here, there's this whole process guide. If you're a reader or you like to read ahead of time, you can go through this. And then if you're somebody who absorbs information really well through a one-on-one or somebody talking you through it, you can do both of those things or either of those things by setting up a consultation. So here is this page. And what I want to show you here is go over to this Student Grant and Award Initiative page. And this is where they've kind of laid out what am I particularly looking for, not broken down by my kind of program and my focus in my program. Now you see here that they will talk you through what they're calling application support. That's where you show up or you set up a consultation or you talk them through and get a one-on-one. And right here on number 2, you see after reviewing these opportunities, identifying some, email them, you know, make an appointment, drop in, whatever it takes to get yourself in front of them and let them know not only that you would like some help like setting up these applications and identifying them, but that you're letting them know you're interested in these opportunities. And so then they'll have you on their radar as somebody who that they might want to contact individually, or that they might want to say, hey, what else are you looking for? How can you help us make this even more robust? So the first thing we're going to here is the external funding lists. This is really helpful because it's broken down, as you see. Are you getting a doctorate? Are you getting a master's? Are you an international student? So as an example, and then you go through these and you identify, and it has lists of various places that are offering awards, grants, and fellowships. So you click on this and look over to the side here for the doctorate funding. It breaks it down by school. So let's say I am a social science doctoral candidate, which I'm not, but let's say I am, and I'm studying economics. Click on there and you see how they're listed. That it'll tell you a lot of times you see some deadlines here, you see the name of it, a brief description of it, and then it gives you a link to go on and find out more about that. But this is where you can do that initial research really targeted to your school, to your program, to see what is even out there for me. To step one, what are the possibilities? So that's the key place that I think you probably want to start for awards, grants, and fellowships, to see what's already in this database. And that, again, it's broken down by doctoral, master's, and international funding. So then if we go back to this Office of Research Sponsored Programs and Grants, the next category is dissertation fellowships. So click on that, and here you're going to find a lot of information about instructions, procedures for applying. You know, it explains a lot of stuff. A lot of these pages will have really helpful things like webinars, information sessions that you can click on and watch whenever you're available to watch them. You get a lot of information here that describes, as it says here, eligibility requirements. And something I want to urge you to do is check these pages, keep scrolling, like go to the bottom, because I find this part really, really helpful when they will list, often at the bottom, they'll list past or current winners or recipients, fellows, whatever it is, grant recipients. And they will tell you the name of the person, their school, their department, and what their project or what the name of their application was. And so you get an idea of, well, who has successfully applied for these things in the past? What does it look like? How did they address it in this short summary? And how are they talking about it? It kind of sets you into that mode and into that world of how you talk about your research in order to win these fellowships or whatever it is. And it also gives you these names, right? So maybe you're in a class with these people, or maybe you know them through a club or something. So you can ask them about having won these awards. Well, how did you go about it? Did you get any help? So this is a really helpful way just to get some names in your mind. And maybe these are people you know, or you can get to know, or you can see if they want to know you. So definitely keep scrolling and see if it has examples from the past of people who have successfully applied for these things, and then consider them a possible resource for you. Then we'll go back to this page again, the student resources, these 4 categories. And now we're going to talk about the Fulbright program. So this is a whole, this is a nationwide program. This is something that is quite prestigious. And there's something really great here at CGU, which is a person who is particularly a program assistant in this office, the ORS office, who's particularly focused on the Fulbright. And her name is Rebecca Donaldson. And you can see this click right here, Fulbright one-on-ones. You can set up a consultation with her. I've done this. I found it really interesting and useful. It says her name right here on the page right above that. She herself went through a Fulbright program, and she was awarded one. She went one, and you can ask her questions about it, and like, what's the nitty gritty of actually doing it instead of, sort of ideas about it, or she can give you a really specific idea about it. So that's a valuable resource. And she can also tell you, well, what kind of advice did she get, or what advice would she give you now? So here is an important resource if you're considering a Fulbright. But beyond that, on this page, there's tons of information about timelines, about what this even is, about webinars, just full in-depth stuff about if you're interested in doing this, because this is one of those things with a really long runway for it. Like, you have to start preparing for it and have the idea that you want to do it well in advance of actually applying, and then the application. Like, it's a long process. So the sooner you can get on board, even just to find out, informationally, well, what is this thing all about? Will I in the future want to apply for it? Perhaps here are all your resources, and again, they are there to provide this for you and to talk you through it. And you are paying for it, so take advantage. So there's some on this roadmap document. There are some easy clicks to the Fulbright information. And then the last one, as we go back up here to student resources, the last one is this annual CGU Crossing Boundaries Research Award, a transdisciplinary award for doctoral student fellowships for transdisciplinary scholarship. Tons of information on these pages as well about what this award is, like defining what does that even mean about transdisciplinary. Maybe you don't even know if you're doing that, or, oh, this is something to consider that is fairly unique to and a really great aspect of CGU, that they welcome transdisciplinary research. So if you click on this learn more, you get a lot of in-depth information about this award, which will be updated for coming up again in the fall. So it's got requirements, it's got evaluation criteria, how to apply. And again, the secret sauce on all of these pages, if you keep going to the bottom, you see who has won it in the past or currently, and then you get some names and some ideas of what does this mean and how do you talk about it, and is this something that applies or could apply to me as well. So those are all that's the breakdown of what's available through the Office of Research Sponsored Programs and Grants. The second major category for awards, grants, and fellowships is this competition. We'll go back to this my.cgu.edu portal, and we see under academic resources, here's the second page of the roadmap document in blue. And what we're looking for now is the Center for Writing and Rhetoric, or there's a direct link on this roadmap document. So this is pitching contest that happens all over, not just all over the country, but all over the world. It became a thing, the big pitch. It's, what is it? It's a competition where you get up and you have 3 minutes to talk about your research, sort of Shark Tank style. And then you get one visual resource that you develop, which is one slide behind you. And so you do that and you go through the experience of doing it, which is a helpful thing for any job or anything, especially academically, where you've got to be constantly talking about, for conferences or for jobs or whatever, what are you up to? What are you doing? And you're kind of hitting them with the big picture of your research and getting them excited, hopefully getting them excited about it. So you go to the Center for Writing and Rhetoric. And if you look way down here on the end, it says the big pitch. So here are all the resources, and there's a ton. This has been spearheaded by the director of the Center for Writing and Rhetoric, whose name is Marcus Weekly. He's I've sat in on, he gives a lot of webinars about this. He gives a lot of informational sessions, as you see here, where it says one-on-one appointments. Here again, it's that it's there for you, that consultation to talk about your particular concerns or how any particular to you questions that you have about it. You can set up that appointment and find out directly from the source of the person who's running it and knows the most about it. Get some answers to your questions. And there are also writing consultants here who will step through the whole thing with you about your pitch and your drafts of your pitch and about what your your slide looks like and everything. So where's the money come in? The money comes in if you become a finalist. There are awards from all finalists, $150 all the way up to the winner of winning $1,000. But even more than that, maybe even more than that, is that you're going through this process, which is a helpful process for all these other applications you would be doing, where you have to talk about and kind of generate some excitement for your research. And so just going through this process is a helpful way. It all adds up that you're building this skill set. But as you can see on the Big Pitch site, there are a lot of resources here, ongoing webinars, information, but also recorded things that you can watch even well in advance of this competition happening. So this is a big resource for you that I want to stress can help you in the applications for the other stuff as well. And also just get you out there, get you talking to the Center for Writing and Rhetoric. They're aware of you, you're aware of them, and helping you talk through. So much of this is just describing what you're interested in and refining that skill of describing and writing it down, which is what helps with any of these applications, be it for a job or for the grants and the fellowships and so forth. So the next major category, that's how to, find money that's being awarded, but how do you earn money while you're a student at CGU to fund your education? That's the student employment issue. So then there is one major outlet for that. We go back to that mycgu.edu portal, go up to a whole section in the middle here, jobs and career at the top. So the Career Development Office is the main place you want to go for this information. That's what they're there for. Again, you can stop in, you can email them, make an appointment to go and talk to them about not just in general about jobs, but about you, and about letting them know what you're looking for, and to ask how they can help you find whatever opportunity is a job and internship, and particularly paid internships. And to be clear, why I need to have a paid internship, just let them know, and then they'll help you track it down. But when you're doing it on your own, the main place to search for what are the jobs that are available, student employment, is this application called Handshake. So I really hope that I'm logged in right now, which I should be. I really should be logged in right now. So Handshake is where all the job listings are, but it's not just that. Yeah, it's not just that. It's they also, as you can see, like down at the bottom here, it says virtual career fair. Like they have things that you can read about applying, and also videos that you can watch. You can attend an event, all this kind of stuff. But if you're going like straight to, gee, I need that job, you click on the jobs here, and this is where the listings are. And you can apply straight through here. You can use these filters and search right here. We see some on-campus opportunities, and it'll be pretty specific about what they're looking for and how you become eligible. Maybe it's only work study, maybe it's not. If you're looking for internships, if you're particularly looking for paid internships, this is sort of the big, interface that you'll be pointed to and that you should go to get a sense of what's out there. But I also, as I put in this roadmap document, I also want to stress, this is sort of everything is in the pot on Handshake. And yes, you can filter to find what you want, but a really good, and I personally have found this really valuable outlet for student employment, but also for the fellowships, for the grants, for conferences, where you can meet people who can give you fellowships or employment, is through the newsletters and emails that we get through the school, of which I realize we get a ton, and and there are so many different offices, and personally I find it's like, oh my God, how do I even keep all this straight? But the important thing is to take a look at those, because there can be a lot of really great information in there, And one of the things, and I'm talking about emails that come from the various offices at CGU, but also the dean's office, also from your school, also maybe from your department, and also from the GSC. We've started having some opportunities listed there. So you can check those, be sure to check those emails, not just for job postings, but for paid internships or other kinds of, or summer work or stuff like that. There is a wealth of information in there that if you're lucky, it just happens to fit your thing. But if it's more targeted, it's from your department or it's from your school, then it's going to be more targeted. Definitely look in there. And as you're looking and you're finding things, this is where the two-way dialogue comes in. You've got to, what's really going to help is if you let them know, if you took advantage of an opportunity, or even if you just applied to an opportunity, say, hey, I saw this in the newsletter, I'd like to apply to it. Can you give me more information? Or who found that listing? Or how did you find out about that? I loved seeing that. I want to see more of that. These emails are such a direct line between the people who are directly invested in making sure the students are successful and us, the students. So having that dialogue going all the time and making sure, yeah, we're looking at it. You're not just sending it out there for nothing. And then we throw, we trash the email and never saw it. I'm seeing it. I'm waiting for one that really fits, my research or what I'm studying or what the field that I want to get into. So if you see anything for me, it would be museum studies. If you see anything from museums, I'd love to hear about that. Is there another place, another email list that I can sign up for, or where can I get information about that? And when I've had these conversations with advisors and deans and whatnot, it's been really helpful because then they've explained, oh, well, my specialty is this. So I sometimes pass information along, or, oh yeah, I hear about those things. Yeah, I can send those along to the newsletter or whatever it is. Like, it really helps, again, to let them know this is what you care about. Because otherwise, how do they know if it's just like falling into a hole? But also, if you tell them I did apply for that, or I want to apply for that, they can have additional information that didn't make it into the blurb in the newsletter, and that can be, you'd be surprised at how helpful it can be. So yeah, so that's about student deployment and employment. The next section here is about that broadcasting, talking, and being boring about it, that you have funding needs and goals, and just letting people know that. And I listed I was trying to think of every part of your network that needs that you can tell about this. It's your advisor, it's the head of your department, it's your dean, it's the GSC. Here we are, like, let us know what you care about. You're doing it right now. It's fellow students. It's your coworkers on whatever your current job is. It's your Uber passenger. It's anybody that, hey, I'm trying to fund my education, or I've started, I'm always looking for fellowships or grants. So if you hear anything, your alma mater, like your undergrad, they still have a career department. That is something as an alumnus you're usually paying for or have access to. Use it, man, like whatever's out there. Your employers, past and present, your friends and family, just a post on your favorite social media outlet, make a video, TikTok, let them know, yeah, man, it's really expensive here. And anytime I can find something to apply for, I'm going to do it. That makes sense for me. So just let people know and again, you never know that there's a business that has a grant or, there's so much stuff out there that kind of that can use some digging, and letting other people be the diggers because it's easy for them and they just happen to hear about it is such a great way to go. So they can't do it unless you've made it clear that you're looking for this stuff. The next thing would be what I keep stressing over and over. I just reiterated it, that interacting with all these resources that are already out there, call, email, drop into these appointments, make appointments, ask about these opportunities, let them know you're looking for them. I listed two, but it's really anywhere. It's your department, it's your professors before class, it's whatever. I know it's been hard to do when we've been virtual, but as we're getting more back into it, just that face-to-face dropping the information that you're looking for can pay off real dividends. And I do know that for some students, if you're basically working full time and you're only able to do later afternoon classes, it can be really hard to fit in when there's a 9 to 5 or whatever the CGU office hours are. It can be hard. It's an extra problem for you or challenge for you to set up an appointment or and whenever I'm talking to these offices, I do ask them about that, and there isn't yet a great workaround for it, but I would say contact them, call them, or contact them by email and say, hey, here is my challenge that it's hard for me during the day because I work full time to set this up. Are there any other opportunities? Just ask about it, get it out there that this is a need. And if they can help you right now, maybe they can't, maybe they can help you down the road, but it's getting it out there that this is an aspect of the student body that needs to be considered when they're offering these consultations, that maybe we need to have really flexible schedules for people to take advantage of them because they're paying for them. Okay, the next one, and we're doing it right now, the Graduate Student Council, that this is your big, these are the big advocates. That's what we're here for. Advocate for the students. Let the GSC know that you care about this and what are your concerns? What more would you like to see? Do you have ideas? Are you willing to be involved in making these ideas a reality? That's a great way to do it. And I really want to point out that in addition to this webinar, there is a great, that you're listening to right now, there is a GSC podcast that Avalon Whalen has done a great job of putting it together for the GSC called CGU. Get it? Graduate Student Council Talks. And they did on March 1st, she actually and Arline did a wonderful episode about grants, awards, and more, funding your CGU experience, as that I highly recommend that you go to your favorite podcast outlet. I went on my iPhone, just the podcast thing, searched for it, found it, listened to it. There is also a link for it here if you want to watch it through the website, but it's on Spotify, whatever. Go find it because they interviewed two of the people that I talked about in here about making consultation appointments with them, Marcus Weekly at the Center for Writing and Rhetoric, and Rebecca Donaldson, who is that Fulbright specialist. And so you hear from them, you kind of get a sense of their personalities. So it's a great way to sort of prepare to make a consultation with them, but they also have a ton of information. And of course, this is from March, this is, last month. So this is an ongoing thing. It's always hopefully going to be changing and expanding. So keeping in touch with them and knowing who these people are is really, really helpful. And I loved that episode and I highly recommend it for everybody who has come here and is interested in this topic. So then the next thing, let's go back to this portal. Explore additional sources of funding. I really have found this so valuable. Did you know there are professional organizations that you can join? Grab it while you can at a student rate, or a conference at a student rate. Like if you're in a museum, it's the Huntington Museum right here in Pasadena has these really interesting academic style conferences every once in a while, like regularly, and they have a student rate and you can go and meet a lot of other people from the country, but also from the area, from maybe you're into an academic career, whatever it is. I found it really useful to be aware of those things and keep my eye on them and to go to them and see if they're doing something that specifically meets my interests. So I'm sure there are a plethora of those kinds of things. And those student rates can make a big, big difference. But also this is about that dialogue. Ask your advisor and department head about CGU affiliations. Like I have taken advantage of the fact that the museum, the history department, the cultural studies department, the museum studies has a relationship here with the Venda Museum in Culver City. I'm pointing that way because I live there and it's right over there. So knowing about that, oh my gosh, my school has a relationship with a museum that's right by my house. I never would have known that if I hadn't been reading the newsletters and keeping an eye out and recognizing the name, and I've done my research about the local, museums and things. So again, I think you'll be surprised if you just put the word out there that you're looking for that kind of stuff. Hey, do you have any ins or any alumni or any kind of relationship, or they've had guest speakers from this place that I'm interested, or this field that I'm interested. Let them know, and you'll and find out, and at the very least, you'll be planting the seed that you would love to see more of that. And then there's this misnomer here. This isn't more student employment, but this is about these places where you can interact. We've talked about this very important student portal that lists all this kind of stuff, but I also wanted to point out that if you are a diverse student, if you're an LGBTQI student, if you're an international student, a student of color, like a disabled student, there are clubs and offices, and it's all in this portal that directly address those things, and they can have more information. You go to them and you let them know, I'm looking for things. They might have more specific information about funding that they would be a great place to ask, and certainly to ask people who work there, or ask other students who are involved in those, who will know, hey, maybe there are places out there that have funding sources that are directly applicable to whatever group that you happen to be in. And those can be like the best because they're really targeted and they will align with your interests in a really great way. So I would say definitely check out these sections on the Career Development Office that are broken down into the ones that I've listed here for international students, students of color, LGBTQI, but also student clubs and organizations, which are listed on the Student Life website. We'll take a quick look at that. That again, they're more, maybe it's not so much that the club, you know, has a special day for funding, but that you go there and you ask them about it and they can tell you all about, you know, what they're up to. And you can ask other students, well, what are you doing for funding, or are you aware? So like the Association of Women's Studies and Religions, that's a very particular group and focus for their studies, but what a great place to ask, are you aware of any funding that is really people who are really interested in supporting this kind of research? So that's kind of the end of my, you know, my document, this document here, this roadmap that is available on the GSC site. You can download it for your own use. It has these links. The idea is that this will be continually updated, you know, and be there as a resource for students down the line. I'm going to stop sharing right now so you can see this. So I hope the major takeaway is that you talk about it and you keep that two-way dialogue going with every resource that you can interact with at GSC, and with a starting place to get that support from the Graduate Student Council to get it out there, not only what is available, but me, with my research, my department, who I am, where I'm from, the kind of person, you know, all that stuff. I am looking for funding. Please let me know if you have any of these opportunities or these jobs or so forth. So I hope that was helpful. We're really interested to be part of that dialogue and hear back from you. What more do you want to know? What would be helpful to you? What are you confused about? Let's do it, man. Let's find out what do you have to say?
First, thank you so much, Courtney. A round of virtual applause for you for sure. Thank you so much for helping to give us this resource and this really clear guide to access a lot of this information. I do see there's already, you know, some questions showing up, also some thanks and gratitude to you. So please feel free to add your questions in the chat, or there will be an opportunity that you can just unmute yourself and ask your questions as well. The first question I saw came up during your presentation is kind of a comment, but I just want to emphasize it. Someone said, I've been on this site. The issue I face are finding ones from the list that I actually qualify for. So I think that was the site of all of the grants and awards, and then determining which ones one is actually, you know, qualified for.
Yeah, that's really valid. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I will say is I actually just before this session got off of a meeting working with the new web designer for the Students Awards and Grants Initiative, and they are talking about this issue and how to better filter and better provide a clear, streamlined way to determine which awards you are eligible for. Not that that answers the question immediately, but just to know that that is noted and is being worked on. But I would say going through and just reading the descriptions and starting to jot down whichever ones you do qualify for. Usually you can tell within reading some of those descriptions, at least from my experience. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Courtney.
Yeah, that I do. That's why I was stressing the newsletters and the emails and speaking directly to your department, to your professors, because, you know, they're getting all kinds of professional and academic publications and emails and things, and they're like zooming past, you know, there's only so much to absorb, but also to put out. And what I found is that they're aware that you are looking for a particular thing and you are in a particular field, then they will let you know, or it'll be on their radar to say like, oh yeah, I can pass on whenever I see something like that. I know I have in the past. So I totally hear that sometimes what's currently in that database and available on the website seems too generic, or it's not quite exact. You know, some of them can be really specific, which is great if that's you, but not so great if it's not. So going directly to the source of the people who are getting so much information about the field, which is your professors, your advisor, and your dean, I would highly recommend that as a backup particularly when you're not finding stuff directly on that, but also these offices and making these consultations to directly bring this up to them as well.
Other questions, Marta?
Hi, can you hear me? So I know I kind of went in a little late. So this is for, I saw that there was a section for master's as well for doctoral. And even if in my postdoc studies right now, it's totally fine for me to apply. And I really like the idea of the consultation, so I can sign up for that and have that one-on-one and find something that's tailored for me, correct? Okay. No, honestly, it looks awesome. I'm so glad because I have been trying to find that out. So I'm glad I'm part of this meeting. And it's just that blue flyer that you guys sent and everything's hyperlinked, correct? Okay. Thank you so much. So much information.
Thank you. Other questions? I'd also welcome folks to share if you have received any other great recommendations about how to fund your graduate education, to feel free to share that in this space as well. Oscar?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I guess the question I have is, as an incoming student who hasn't taken any classes yet, I'm kind of daunted by all the awards that are kind of like research based. And so like at this point, just recently deciding to go to CGU, haven't started my research, haven't started my studies yet. I don't know quite how to start. And so like with kind of like my financial aid plan and seeing like my loan amount, I'm already like trying to think of ways to like lower the amount of loans I have. But because so many of the awards are like research based, I feel stuck right now. So like I'm trying to like figure out how I can like what I can do right now before I've even started my studies. Um, and yeah, I mean, like this is really helpful. I feel like once I start and have an idea of like what my academic career will actually look like and what I want to do, which I already do, but that path is going to like lay itself out for me. But I just wanted to know if there was like any advice for people at my stage who haven't started their research yet.
I think that's a really good point to bring up because so many of these work after the fact. Some of these fellowships, like in the chat mentioning the Friedman Fellowship, the way that works is as an after the fact thing, or the GSC sponsors. I didn't even put on here the travel and material awards that the GSC sponsors, that you've already put the money out and what you're getting is money back that then gets posted to your tuition account and as a deduction. So that is sort of a catch-22 that you get trapped in, that you have already spent the money and then you cross your fingers that you'll be one of the ones selected. So what I would say, this is where it gets to the making those consultations and getting your face in front of them or your email in front of them to say that you are interested in these opportunities and here's your particular situation, because a lot of the information that's out there is going to be an after the fact kind of or retroactive. I think of it as a retroactive monetary award that then reduces future tuition. So this is where external sites like through employers or clubs, groups, community organizations, those will tend to be more this kind of grant that is that can be ahead of time and not based on the work that you've already been doing at the school. And that requires a lot of, this is where it's like a job kind of thing comes in, that requires a lot of footwork on your part of just asking around and starting with the people that you know, the places that you've worked, ex-employers, current employers, and seeing if anybody has any awareness of those kinds of things. I'm not sure that, I don't know, I would ask at CGU. I think they're more focused on those that are based on the work that you've already been doing as a student, but definitely bring it up to them and ask for them and see if there are resources that they just haven't been asked about before, so they're not promoting them as much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I would also add, Oscar, just, familiarizing yourself with the tools that Courtney's, organized here, so that you can have a sense of what is available when most of these awards are offered annually. So even though you might not qualify now, just knowing in advance that this will likely be available next year can help you maybe strategize the abstract you write for your research so it will be easy to copy and paste into this application, or to maybe take into account, you shouldn't design your research necessarily just for the grant or award, but looking at what they are looking for and having that in mind while you prepare your research might help, again, so that you're not rewriting different sections, but to kind of streamline your work towards these awards when that time comes. I know it doesn't save time in terms of, you are looking for the funding now, but it's something to just think ahead, like at least you're aware of this now and not when it's too far gone.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Thank you so much. This is really helpful, and it totally shifts my perspective. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. And I see a couple more hands. We'll just start. I'm sorry, I don't know who had their hand up first, but we'll go Clarissa and then Asia.
Hi. Okay, so I kind of came. Sorry. So Oscar, I think you had stated that you're in the MPH program, if I'm not if I'm right. Okay.
I'm in the master's program, and I'm entering in the fall.
Okay, awesome. So I'm in the MPH program. I graduate in the fall for the as well. So I totally get exactly what you're talking about, where you come in and you're looking at loans and you're super like, who do I talk to? Bree Hemingway's great for our program. Talk to Yolanda as well, just to kind of put yourself out there to start making those connections for finding grants or for finding fellowships, because they're great people to just kind of be your middleman. And like Courtney said, the external sources are our best friends, because right now you're right, like you're coming in and you don't really have research experience or evaluation experience, or you don't have letters of recommendation yet. So those are like, they're great people to write your letters for if you're coming into the fall, you don't have, experience with faculty yet. So, because there are advisors, there are program coordinators. And so, there are people you want to meet with, and they've definitely helped me to apply for grants and to even just start looking, for fellowships and internships, especially. They're really great for those conversations. Because like, this was just one of those things where you want to share with people who are already in your program, like, hey, we've paved the road. I felt that experience, that stress, and it really helped to just, I completely agree. Like with I heard with when Arline said the webpage is going to be updated, I was super excited to hear that, because for like our Community Global Health webpage, it's outdated. Like some of those links don't even open up to anything. They are dead links. And or the scholarship is currently not, or fellowship is currently not being, done that year. So you're clicking on things that aren't going anywhere. So yeah, for our situation, it's nice to hear the webpage is going to be updated. So that's great. But I kind of just gave up on the website, as sad as that sounds, and just started having conversations with our program, because I felt like they, like Courtney had said, they're in touch with our faculty, and they're in touch with outside sources that we don't have connections to yet, utilize them as our networking. And Arline and Bree, or Bree and Yolanda were great for that, especially because we talk to them every semester anyway to get courses. And then financial aid as well. They're great people to have conversations with as well. So just kind of putting yourself out there is the best way to go, like Courtney had said. But yeah, if Oscar, if you want to talk, I'm here for you. So.
Hello, everyone. I might have missed this because I had to step out for a work meeting. Are there any, I'm a joint JDP student between Claremont and San Diego State, and I found that a lot of the resources that are listed that I've received in the past are only particularly for students who are at the Claremont campus. Is there any ideas of how we can provide resources on the websites for students that are in joint programs with Claremont? Because oftentimes we're not allowed, we don't get the same resources because we're not a full-time Claremont student. And I think that even though, one of the things that I've had financial aid counselors or folks from the university say, well, you're getting a discount because you only have to pay half the tuition, but that doesn't mean I still don't have needs of being able to not be able to afford that. So I just often think about those who are in joint PhD programs. Yes, we don't pay the full amount there, but we still had to pay another amount at another university.
I think that is a really great question, because that's what, when I was trying to brainstorm of what are all kind of the different situations that students are in that maybe are not what the administration pictures when they picture a student, and what, this is one I didn't even consider. And I do know somebody who has been doing that exact same program. I don't have an answer to your question, but that what I want to know, Arline, do you know who to turn to? Am I insane? Congratulations. Should I say congratulations as far as the AS? Yes. So you will be our new president. So yeah, this is perfect. That we need an answer to this. And the I was just going to say the GSC is the perfect place to ask. I don't know the answer to it, and I'm not entirely sure, other than what's listed on there as existing places to ask. I would go to the ORS and ask them, hey, look, do you have anything for this particular thing? Or to let them know it would be great to have something for this particular thing, but also to ask it in San Diego, like, what do they offer? And maybe there could be a joint thing, between them to address exactly this issue.
Yeah, definitely. But I think this is an excellent idea to bring to the student grants. I know they have a contact us at studentgrants@cgu.edu, just reaching out and, highlighting this situation, and then also continuing to move forward with these kinds of questions and demand for resources as well as information and opportunities as we move forward with the GSC.
Thank you so much.
And yes, congratulations, our new president.
Thank you. I look forward to working with everyone.
We have a few minutes left, so I will prompt once again, if you have any questions, or if you do have any recommendations or graduate funding ideas that have been useful to you that you've heard or used in your own graduate funding experience.
I just wanted to provide some clarity on one thing. There have been people, I don't want to make it seem like there have not been people at Claremont that have not tried to help me find resources. It's just been limited information, and I don't want to leave that out there. That could come across as unkind or inconsiderate. There have been amazing people that have found me resources. And one particular person, when it came to COVID funding, Crystal was great about helping me to get that done. So I just want to make sure I clear that up, because I didn't want to make it seem like I wasn't getting any help at all and people weren't trying to find some help. So I want to make sure in my communication that I'm clear.
Well, I think this brings up something that might be helpful, again, in a framing sense, or in a how to think about it sense, which is what I've realized through this 2 years on the GSC is that, a lot of times the way that you see things as a student, or what you expect or assume, and we know what happens when you assume that the administration or anybody who works there, or professors, the way that we assume it's the same viewpoint, and it just isn't. Like, what they consider, it's sort of like what came up with this recent huge endowment that the school got. Like, to me, I hear like, you got a massive endowment. What a boon for the students to get their tuition covered. But that is not the way they're thinking of it. That is not the intention of the donor. That is not, like, it's just a totally different conversation. And that conversation doesn't change or incorporate these serious student concerns about tuition unless we are constantly bringing them up. And not just to say, oh, well, we're not going to raise it, or we're raising in a minor amount, but to really get into in-depth conversations about we need a regular kind of source of funding or a place to know where to go for them. This has to be a robust part of the education here, because we don't have a TA program, a real one, like it's such a particular part of this school that it is something that is of such great concern to students. And I don't know if the administration is aware, and it's an awareness issue, I think, of, gee, how can we guide our programs and our offices to address what is a very serious concern for students.
Melinda?
Hello, thank you so much, guys. I just wanted to give you guys a little quick personal thing. I got really creative with resources, and I literally put the call out to all of my business owner friends, and I was able to use the link on the financial aid that says, share this so people can pay your tuition. And I have received a generous amount of support from business owners and friends of business owners who just happen to know me and know my work and know what I stand for. So this is a time for us to get super creative. We don't have a lot of time to spend, but the time we do spend is financially helpful. Unfortunately, I am unable to have a full-time job and go to school full-time. So I had to pick, am I going to go to school or am I going to work? Because I'm an art major, my art is my work, but I can't work on art while I'm at work. So just putting that information out there. I like how you guys had said, just talk to people. It's who you know, and let people know you're looking for funding. Yes, in the school, but also outside of the school. Former employers, even former schools can, not necessarily that the school can pay for anything, but they might know other resources that maybe CGU is not putting out, or even just as much as it hurts to ask for help, just letting people know, hey, I'm a grad student, I've got no food in my fridge. Hey, you know what? I can't pay your tuition, but I can take you to Costco. So just getting creative. That's really, you got to be creative and go for what you want.
That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing. Carnice?
Hello, yes, thank you. Melinda, that's really awesome. Thank you for sharing that. The thing I'm bringing up is more of a clerical thing. I noticed that one of the grants listed in the arts section, it's for the Creative Capital Grant, is not eligible to anyone who's getting a degree. So just wanted to put that out there, that maybe checking it, because you get excited sometimes and you go in and then you're looking through the whole application and then you realize, oh, I'm not eligible to this because I'm at the college where I got the you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Heard and understood. I think that is it's been highlighted, either dead links or just things that are they're not accessible or that students are not eligible for. So just bringing attention to students and grants and everyone who's in charge of verifying what's listed there to make sure that they are available to current students, because that's who the site is designed to serve. So thank you for pointing that out. Womp womp. And okay, we're about at the end of our hour, but one more question or comment from Ahmed.
Hello. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Ahmed Wuri. I'm actually connected from Sierra Leone, West Africa, and I recently gained admission into CGU. But it is somehow, what should I say? I think in between, because I'm happy I gained the admission, and then looking at the cost and everything, I'm yet to get my admission packet. I just received the notification about 2 weeks back. I just received the notification and also my student's number. But then I'm also thinking, I do have a family. I have a 3 years old, sweet, very disturbing boy, and then also my wife. So I've been thinking if there's funding for someone that wants to go with his family for his studies. I don't know if that's possible. And my admin assistant has been helpful. She gave me links to some external funding and also I think Empower loan. But I was and I'm still a bit skeptical because not being used to this taking loans for anything. So I'm happy for this session. I have somehow learned a lot. But I just have this question. Are there any opportunities? Is there an opportunity for me to take my family along when I'm leaving Sierra Leone for CGU this fall? Thank you.
Yeah, this is where I think whatever resources the school has for international students, they are the ones to ask, because it's not something that I think it's something that would be very particular to what they provide. So the International Scholars Program office, I think, is one place to go and ask. And actually, the same person who has come up as the director of this guy, Marcus Weekly, who runs the Center for Writing and Rhetoric, is listed also for the International Scholars Program. So he knows about funding, he knows about international scholars. Sounds like a good place to start, at least, and a particular person to start with to ask exactly this question. And if he doesn't know the answer, he can point you, I believe he can point you in the right direction. That's where I would start if I were you, with Marcus Weekly at the Center for Writing and Rhetoric. Do we have a link for him, a particular?
Yeah, and I would also encourage you to reach out to admissions. ISP is very much a international scholars program, is like incoming international students going through a course to kind of get up to speed with preparing for entering university in the States. But I know that the admissions office should be able to offer you some help as well. So I would reach out to admissions@cgu.edu as well. That would be another opportunity to connect and ask for assistance there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. We appreciate your time and your questions. It's been really nice. Courtney, did you have any closing thoughts you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Just that I love the comment that we got about, yeah, it's the way I would put it is just be shameless that you're asking. I think, just in America, culturally, asking for money is not a shameful thing. It's an understood thing that there's a lot out there, and that a lot that we need. So I think it's fine to ask and say, look, I'm working my way through graduate school and it's really expensive. There's a lot of discussion about this with undergraduate education and tuition. So people understand the issues, and I think are probably pretty receptive to hearing that you are looking for funding opportunities. So the more people you can let know about it in every part of your life, the better.
Thank you all, and good luck in funding your education, and also good luck as you continue on your graduate journey, whether it's here at CGU or otherwise. We do plan to share this recording up on our GSC website, so you can refer your friends after the fact as well. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.